let me show you what I've been working on. I got it in my head that I wanted to make ceramic dice. These are bisqued, they don't have glaze on them yet. So, took a couple different swings at it. And my first thought, so I'd show you, was the idea of making some sort of a mold box where I could, you know, all these pieces go in, they have the numbers, you know, on the and you put all these together and pack the clay in, and oh, it was a nightmare. It didn't work. It was just terrible. So next I decided to make just a 2-piece mold, and the thought being that, well, I could really squeeze the perfect shape in here and then take a number stamp and boop, you know, like stamp it, take it out, roll it to the next, you know, next stamp number. But this too ended up being really unnecessary. So the move is just to have a 2-piece mold that you can squeeze the dice in, and I'll show you how I do it. You just kind of squeeze them a couple times, and so I made a set. This is kind of a marbled clay, so looks a little pinky right now, but pretty consistent shape. And the mold gives me the rounded corners. I don't have to like sponge that off. That's how you do it. But then I made a second set. I just felt like those were too big. It'd be kind of cool to have big ones, but I think this right here is the right size. So I just made a smaller version, same thing. 2-piece, make the shape, and then we'll pop it out and I'll put the numbers on it. So let me show you how that works. At first I was taking a lot of time cutting pieces and weighing them and trying to figure out what was the right amount of weight for the clay. And it turns out it doesn't really matter. Make sure, if you're going to do something like this, make sure you get some vegetable oil in there. It's also helpful, I think, to have more of a kind of a pill shape going in on the first squeeze, because that way, by my way of thinking, it'll fill out the top before it all comes out the side. But you can see I have way too much in here, and that's okay. Squeeze that all out. So simple as that. Now technically at this point it's a little bit tall still. Clean off the edges maybe with a rib, just to get rid of that flash. You can kind of see a little bit of irregularity. I try to smooth that out as much as I can, but I'm going to do a second squeeze and that'll really help. Okay, so if this is the line, because it was squeezed this way before, so I want to go in like this. So I'm going to squeeze it. Okay, squeeze number 2. And that's good enough. So a little more flashing to clean off, but at that point you have a pretty consistent die shape. So I'm just rubbing out any marks the best I can, and then we're still going to stamp it, and that'll help obscure those little pinch lines as well. Okay, so the stamping's pretty easy. The trickiest part is just to remind yourself what number goes on what side, so I like to get another die out. That's all it's going to take. You know, I did add a little line to the back of any of these numbers where the orientation matters. So it'd be not so good looking to get them crooked. That looked like it really squished it, and it did, but I'm not worried. I'll show you how we fix that. So that's all of them. And just take a look, and just to make sure it doesn't look like really weirdly high in one direction. So now I have them all stamped. We'll just kind of get them all next to each other here. I like using a little piece of acrylic. But just because it's nice to be able to see through, to see what's going on, but it doesn't necessarily need to be clear. It could be anything flat. So just gently. Okay, we did all three sides. We'll do it one more time, or at least check. Yeah, everything's looking good. So these are obviously not going to be precision dies, but they're even in height for the most part. So that's how I do it. Now I just need to fire them, and then put some little black dots on them like dominoes, and fire them again, and we're good. So here they are out of the kiln, and for the most part they're looking pretty good. I can already see I need to really make sure I clean up my seams. All of these have kind of a roughness to them, and I wanted to see if I could demonstrate that. I want to see if I can do something about it. So I have a piece of plexiglass. I'm just going to randomly take one of these, like, I'll just... Terrible. So I want to get rid of that. I don't want to scratch my table. I'd like these to feel smooth and well worn. This is actually used for like cleaning brass if you're gonna like reload ammunition. Yeah, but it's a tumbler, so I have some sand in it. Let me show you how it's gonna work. Let me flip this little switch. Okay, so it's run all night. I thought it would be best to just pour it out. Might be easier to just fish them out, I don't know. Okay, I think that's all of them. Well, they feel a lot smoother. Well, this plastic is soft, so it actually does still mar it. But before, it almost felt sandy, whereas now it doesn't feel gritty. Well, they bounce nice. They are a little funky. They're definitely not perfect, but I think that's what you get for homemade dice. So I think that is a win. Those are fun. I think they're worth the time. Let me know, have you made your own dice before? What do you think?